Damien Bartonek here on behalf of Fox West Texas and the official host of MMA Monday, the only MMA show in San Angelo. Today, I'm joined by one of my favorite bantamweights, someone that I saw absolutely crush it back in Austin last year, my guy, Cody Stamann. Cody, how are you doing, brother?
What's up, man? Just enjoying this Sunday. Just got a little workout in. Just so I have an excuse to eat more food.
Hey, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. I had a good Sunday myself. I made myself a good little breakfast, man. Little chorizo and egg. You're not
Nice.
Mexican, I suppose. So I don't know if you know what that is.
Chorizo? Oh
Yeah,
my gosh,
yeah.
man!
You know chorizos?
I just
Okay.
had, oh yeah, I just had tacos last night.
Oh, there you go.
Beef
See, that's
brisket,
my
chorizo.
boy.
I was all over it. Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
my
yeah.
mom is very happy hearing that you just said that. Let's just say that. My mom's very happy to hear that. But I want to talk to you a little bit, man, about your journey and your career to this point, because like I mentioned, we were talking a little bit off air, and I told you I was really pulling for you back in Austin when I saw you fight. But right now, as we stand here, you're 21-5. You've fought really the who's who of the bantamweights, from Rob to Aljo, the current champion, to Saeed Nurmagomedov. You fought everybody, really. For you,
Yeah.
man, as we sit here on this beautiful Sunday, a week before the Super Bowl, how are you feeling right now? Just how's the body feeling? How's your mental feeling? How's everything going?
Man, honestly, I feel great. I didn't take any damage that last fight. I maybe got touched in the face like one, two times the whole fight. So, I mean, the only thing that was really even sore was like my shins and my forearms from checking kicks and, getting kicked in the arms. So, I mean, to go out, to go to Brazil, go to war against a Brazilian and come out with absolutely zero damage, make a bag full of cash and come home, dude, I'm feeling real good.
Do you want to go back to Brazil, like at some stage, to kind of explore a little bit, or no? You're good on Brazil.
Hell
You're good.
no.
You're
Hell
good on
no. No,
Brazil.
I mean, maybe on vacation, like someone
Uh,
else is fighting, I would go or just go on vacation. But no, I mean, Brazil is a freaking dangerous place and like the people there are hostile. So, I
yeah.
mean, no, I don't really see myself going back to Brazil
How
anytime soon.
how hard was it for you knowing that you had to cut, or how early? I'm sorry, before the fight did you get there?
8 days out. So I got there 8 days out. And I've been known to like blow up, like fill up with water on an airplane. So,
Yeah.
like 16 hour travel, like I got there, I was like 158 pounds.
Oh
So
God.
I had to cut 22 pounds in 8 days. So
How's
I mean,
that?
it came out pretty good, but
Yeah.
like it's also kind of making me think like, man, maybe 35 is not like an option for me anymore. But I think the reality is I just got to get a little bit more dialed in with my diet. You know what I mean? Because I'm a fat kid at heart, dude. I like to eat. Like I like to eat. Like I mean, I just got on the scale today. I was like 168 pounds. So I mean, I'm 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 on my off season and I'm eating, dude. Like that's my hobby. Like
Yeah.
I don't, I got a lot of hobbies, but one of my main hobbies is eating.
Hey, and I saw you also like fishing, man. Tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about that. When's the last time you went fishing? Because I got a couple stories myself, but I want to hear from you. When's the last time you went fishing?
I was going up to, I got a cabin in Utah, and there's a bunch of like little lakes, I have a bunch of little rainbow trout in them. So I was fishing up
Nice.
there like every week, all
Nice.
summer, all fall. Yeah, it was really nice, dude. I mean, it's just like one of those things that like we just unplug, you know what I mean? Hunting, fishing, going outside, that just kind of takes me away from fighting for a little bit. Cause I mean, it's shit's 24/7. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you never really get to shut it off. You're always talking about it, you're always thinking about it, you're always doing it. It's like, fighting can be a lot, and you need that you enjoy doing that's outside of it. Burn out that you just go nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel that too, because before I got this job here in San Angelo as like a sports anchor, sports reporter, man, I was interning working 6 7 days, 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week for the last 6 7 months, man. And I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, God, Lee, I haven't been able to go fishing in so long, and that's something that I really like to do with my dad. Over here
Yeah.
down in Texas, we go to the Gulf. It's saltwater fishing. Up there is
Oh,
freshwater.
cool.
Yeah, freshwater
Yep,
fishing up
yep.
there.
Yeah, all freshwater up here. Yeah,
Yeah. We
that's
do a
cool
lot of,
though.
yeah, we do a lot of salt water. We're doing, 100-pound test line, big old 12-foot surf rods, going for the drum and the shark. So that's what we like
That's
hitting
cool.
over here. But yeah, man, if
Yeah,
you're ever down here in Texas, you got to come through. I can show you a couple things, man. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah. It's a different kind of fishing. I've never done that, so
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, because it's different, right? You especially when you know you got the spider weights on there, and it really is a thinking man's game, a patient man's game, because God,
Yeah.
those drums sometimes you never know what's on it, and then when you're reeling it in and you feel your whole rod try to go into the ocean, you're like, okay, here we go. You talk about a
We got,
fight.
we got,
It's like we're about
yeah,
to
we got
fight
something
Eddie
real.
Wineland.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
But
Pull you into the water. That shit scares me.
exactly, exactly. I was reading a little bit about kind of your backstory, and you were really into boxing at first, right, earlier in your career. And then MMA started to come to your area. And it says here that you actually encouraged your mom to let you kind of transition into MMA. Is that accurate? And
Yeah.
also, yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
Pretty accurate, but actually it was my mom who encouraged me to start doing MMA. We watched some fights. I know randomly, like I went home and was hanging out with the family, and some WEC fights were on, and I don't know who was fighting, Faber and Aldo or something, and we were watching it, and my mom was like, "You could do this," and I'm like, "Probably," And then local MMA kind of started popping around. My mom's like, "You should try this," and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know," you know what I mean? And I was like scrappy, like, and then me and a couple of my really good buddies, we went to a party. We got in a big street fight. We came back all dinged up. We were all, black eye, bloody lip, all beat up, all three of us. We got a good one, but we gave it to him pretty good too. And I came home, and like the next day, my mom was like, "Here's an MMA member. Here's 3 months at an MMA gym. Like, if you're gonna fight, like at least do it in the gym." And that's kind of how it started. So I was like, I don't know, I don't really care to do this. And I went there, and like it was just like a combination of done, wrestling and boxing. And like I realized really soon that I was like way better than everybody else because I had that background. So I mean, within the first week of being there, I was like one of the best guys there. And then, I just kind of fell in love with the sport, and it just took my whole life in just completely different direction. You know what I mean? I was kind of planning on taking over the family business, and doing restoration construction, being a small business owner, and that was kind of like always what I thought I was doing. And then fighting just like threw my whole world on a different axis. And I loved it so much. I just like told my parents, I was like, listen, I have to pursue this. Like I can't shut this off. You know what I mean? Like I don't know why, but I'm so drawn to the sport. I can't stop. And obviously there was a reason for it. You know what I mean? I tried to stop fighting like so many times. Like I was like, I'm done. I'm gonna go, be a man and go, take over the business and do all this stuff. But man, something always drew me back to fighting, and there was a reason for it. And now I'm here, and I'm super thankful that I never gave up on that dream. So yeah, it's been a crazy ride, dude. A lot of
Yeah.
ups and downs, a lot of what I mean, just like a wild. I feel like I've lived like three different lives as an athlete, like my life before the UFC, my life in the UFC, and it's crazy. I've been in the UFC almost 6 years now. It's a long time, especially at this division, like it's like cutthroat. Like you're fighting for your job every single time you go out there, and I've had some ups, you know what I mean? Like go out, and I was in the top 10 in the first 6 months of being in the UFC. And then I lose to Aljamain Sterling. I go win a few more fights, and I drop three straight, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm out of here. And then now I'm coming off two big wins. You know what I mean? And so I mean, for me, like I think everything that I have in this sport is just a testament to like my ability to stay neutral. Like I am just a straight blue collar, hardworking country boy, and like doesn't matter what the hell's going on in my life, doesn't matter what's down. Like I'm getting my ass to work, and that's just how it is. You know what I mean? Like 2 days after my last fight, I was in like as soon as I landed, in Brazil, I was like kind of sitting around, and I'm building tables and remodeling my house, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna go work out. Like I want to go work out, so I just went and worked out. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just what I do. Like I'm not one of those guys that like, takes a fucking 2 month vacation. Like I like to work. I like to be busy. So I just actually got a phone call yesterday about a fight opportunity, and I immediately said yes. And it's not too far away. I can't say anything about where or when it is yet, but it's this half of the year. So I'm gonna have a few more real good meals, and then I'm gonna get right back on the diet, and we're gonna get back to work.
I like that. And you mentioned there's one thing that really stuck out to me when you were talking there. It was you were like, I wanted to be a man and run the business. And it's crazy because because I'm 24. You're a little older than me. You're 33. But there's always like this little phase that I think like all men go through where we kind of want to figure out what, like, who we are, and what we're going to do, right? And for
Mhm.
you, it was fighting, right? Like that's just kind of, regardless of like, maybe the family business will be there down the line or whatever, but right now this is, this is me. This is how I feed my family. And in my circumstance, I'm like, man, this is the way that I'm gonna eventually, by the grace of God, I can go to the national stage and feed my family, right? So
Right. That's always
it,
the goal, right?
yeah, exactly. So it's just something that really stuck out and to me, because it's just I can't really explain it too well. I'm not my minor was in psychology. I can't explain it too well, but what I can explain is when you're a man, you just understand, like you just relate to that. You know exactly.
Yep.
I know you mean, and you know what I mean. Uh,
Yep.
there was one thing in particular that you mentioned as well, as you said you fell in love with the sport. And I talked to Adrian Yanez about this. I was like, it seems like every time I speak to fighters that didn't grow up, practicing jiu-jitsu at first, but later kind of fell in love with the sport of MMA, they always started like to know that this is what they wanted to do when they fell in love with the grappling. And for you, you started wrestling. You went to Grand Valley State with guys like Kevin Lee went there, Tony Ferguson went there. What was your experience like there? And did you ever talk to any of those individuals at your school?
So I know different time periods. I actually wrestled on Team Michigan
Okay, okay.
with Tony Ferguson at one point. I was younger. He was a little older. He was a goofy dude back then. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's just like Michigan wrestling is so underrated in terms of like on the scale of like a national level because like I never thought I wasn't like a great wrestler. I was decent, you know what I mean? Like I really didn't care that much about wrestling, like to the point like I mean you want to be a wrestler, you need to wrestle year round. Like I played four sports, like I was just an athlete. I like competing. And if you want to really be like a high level wrestler, you need to like dedicate your whole life to wrestling. And I never did, so I was like a failed wrestler. I wasn't really that great, but my wrestling is exponentially better than most people's because I think wrestling in Michigan, wrestling in the Midwest is so much better than it is everywhere else. Like most good wrestlers, like we're like it's like the Dagestan of America. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
the Midwest, Pennsylvania, like those states, like we just produce the best wrestlers. Like everyone's a lot better than everywhere else. You know what I mean? Like no offense to Texas, I love Texas, but like Michigan boys come to Texas and we're getting a wrestling match. Like Michigan boys are gonna tear you guys up. You know what I mean? Like that's just the reality. But yeah, I mean, so I think coming in from Michigan and kind of being in that like grindy, nasty Midwest mindset, like I think that makes for like a really, really good fighter. You know what I mean? Like you're talking about like Grand Valley State wrestling program isn't a big program. It's a club program. It's not even like part of the school. So it's not even like a big deal. And like you were looking at like Kevin Lee, you know what I mean? Tony Ferguson and Mike myself, like those are three guys. Like those are the only three guys that decided that they were going to do MMA. All three of those guys have fought at the highest level in the world. You know what I mean? So that's just a testament to what Midwest wrestling is about. So yeah, it's actually that's actually I never thought about that before. I just said it out loud, but that's the truth.
Yeah, well, and for those listening, he's not lying. There's actually someone, his name is Mike. I train with him jiu-jitsu at C's 13 here in San Angelo, and he was telling me that the Big Ten is the Midwest Big Ten is the SEC of wrestling, essentially. The SEC in
Yeah, it's the
football,
apex.
yeah, it is the top of the line. And as I've started to practice jiu-jitsu myself, I've always liked wrestling, like the sport of jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. But when you train it, you're like, oh man, this is so dope to watch. Like, and you see how all of that kind of intertwines in an actual like fight when you're actually
Mhm.
fighting.
Like you're saying, like once like now that you've like done jujitsu and you've kickboxed and you've done all those things, like you understand what's happening in a fight so much more. And I think that like if more people got into jiu-jitsu and more people like I would encourage everybody, like you should do jiu-jitsu, you should kickbox, like 'cause this is great for you. You know what I mean? It's good for your confidence, it's good, it's a great workout, it's fun, you know what I mean? It's good community, and like not only that, but like once you start doing it, you start understanding MMA like on a different level. You know what I mean? Like the way I understand MMA is like a lot different than other people see it. You know what I mean? Like I hear all the comments from like people that have no idea what the hell's going on. They're like, well, why don't you just hit them? Why don't you just do this? And I was like, man, if it was that easy, like you'd be doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
hard. It's hard. Yeah,
yeah,
and you realize that once you start doing it.
yeah.
And like I think if more people had a little bit more knowledge about the grappling aspects and the kickboxing, I think it would make fighting a lot more exciting for them.
Yeah, and for me too, it's funny. Like you mentioned, people are like, "Why didn't you do this?" So there was one time I was actually because Mike had a couple of amateur fights. He has a wrestling background as well. And
Mhm.
I shoot for a double leg, right? And dude, he just jumps ghillie on me, bro. Just literally jumps guillotine on me like no one's. And I'm like, all right, I'm tapping on. I'm like, I'm not Alexander Volkanovski. I cannot get out of this right
Yeah,
now. But
yeah,
it was one of those things where I'm like, golly, like you don't know how many people like in my head on that moment, I was like, you don't know how many people probably were like, why didn't you just do this? And I'm like, this is an exact
yeah.
moment of like, you don't like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
I
Like,
wish I could have. I
yeah,
wish I could have. Yeah,
exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
But one last one for me, man. Before we kind of start to close this up a little bit. You've trained at a lot of gyms, like you mentioned. Right now you're at Extreme Couture since 2019. I
Mhm.
talked to people like I haven't talked to Sean Strickland yet, but I've talked to Chris Curtis. I've talked to some other people there as well. What about that gym, really makes you feel at home? Because you've been there for a good while now, and now we're approaching 4 years there. What about that gym kind of really makes you feel at home?
Well, Extreme is kind of a strange gym in that there might be like 5 or 6 guys that you could potentially fight in the gym. And then that doesn't really happen anywhere. Extreme is kind of like a hub place where all these great athletes end up. It's like okay, so you want to be in the best workout room in the world, like really, really, you want to go like iron sharpens iron, like you go to Extreme because that's where, some of the best 35, 45, 55, like some of the best guys in the world, they're all training in that gym together. So I think that's really what attracts people to Extreme. I don't necessarily think it's like there's not really a huge like team aspect to Extreme. You know what I mean? Like obviously you see guys in the gym every day, like you become friends with them. But ultimately, like the guy that's your team and that your teammate that you're training with might end up being like an opponent eventually. So Extreme is like a doghouse, you know what I mean? Like everybody's fighting for everything, and that makes you great at fighting. That's the kind of environment that really really pushes you to be that next level athlete. You know what I mean? Like when you're going against guys that are the same level as you, and could potentially be someone that you might find yourself looking across the cage from. Like you tend to be a little bit sharper, a little bit better. I mean, you have to be. You know what I mean? Like that's like Extreme's like one of those places where there's so many guys that come in, like so many guys are like, hey, yeah, I want to come train with you. I'm like, all right, dude, but like it's gonna suck. Like you're gonna get whooped.
Yeah.
Like I'm just telling you the truth. Like, and I'm not gonna take it easy on you either. Like I'm gonna give it to you too, because that's the environment. There's so many guys that come out here like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna be out here for a month, and they're there for 2 days, and they're like packing their and going home. And I'm like,
Mm.
yeah, you don't understand, man. Like we're here to win. We're here to
Yeah.
hurt you. Like literally, like you are fresh meat in like you're like in a Shark Tank, man. So it's Extreme is a great place to like really really test yourself and to test your skills. And yeah, I think you might be really really surprised when you show up and you think you're gonna train there for a month, and after that first week, you're like, yeah, I want to get the hell out of this place. This sucks.
Yeah, and it makes sense you say that because when you look at some of the people that fight, they were like Sean Strickland, right? Prime example of someone who
Yeah,
he'll spar with just about anyone. There's and Chris Curtis too.
uh,
Chris Curtis was sparring with
yeah,
Magomed
Chris.
Ankalaev too. Like
Yeah, these guys are nuts.
yeah, everyone spars with everyone fights everyone, and I think that's why people really gravitate towards people like you and Chris Curtis and stuff like that because you guys are just are fighters. You just embrace kind of everything that we normal humans can't be, right? We can't do this, but you guys can go in
Well,
there and scrap it with whomever, whenever, however, it doesn't
we were
matter.
we were we were all normal humans once too, and it was just
Yeah.
we just got so you know what I mean. Like fighting to me is like I'm desensitized to it. It's just like going to work for you. You know what I mean? It's like the
Hmm.
same. It's like doing this podcast. It's nothing. You know what I mean? Like I do it every day, so it becomes desensitized. You see a guy get knocked out, and you're like, oh man, damn. Did you see that? And I was
Yeah,
like, yeah,
yeah.
I did. And I'm like on my phone texting, looking at Instagram. Like it doesn't mean the same thing to me that it did, 10 years ago because I've just been doing it so long. It's a different like you realize that you're like so desensitized to like all these crazy things that are happening around you. You know what I mean? And it's a weird feeling.
Yeah, but I will say this, man. It's been really really dope to kind of talk to you and kind of break stuff down, especially with someone like me that I got to see you in Austin and I saw how awesome that fight was. It was me being a fan. I was like, my man. I was like, let's go, let's go. I was in the crowd saying, let's go, let's go. But with that being said, man, you're on a 2-fight winning streak. 2023 is very, very early in the year. I'm not going to pressure you and say, hey, tell me when you're fighting next, but let the fans know, man. What do you got going on? Let us know, anything in the future to kind of keep an eye out for.
So I just got offered a fight yesterday, and I said yes. It's not too far away. So I mean, the reality is I have a couple weeks where I can kind of relax and live a normal life, and then I'm right back into camp. I'm right back in the gym, and that's what I want this year. You know what I mean? I want this to be one of those years where I really, really stack some money. I got a lot of I got expensive taste. I like real estate. I think the market's about to do what I need it to do. And I'm gonna buy a bunch of properties, and that's the goal. You know what I mean? And we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? If I can make some good investments, man, I'll retire as a young man. We'll see. I think I could do it, and that's my goal this year, is just to literally every time an opportunity pops up, like be ready to fight. Like that's what I want. I want to make a bunch of money. I want to take care of my family. I want to help my mom retire, and I want to sail off into the sunset. You know what I mean? And be done.
Man, that's super sick, man. That's something that we can all relate to. You know what I mean? It's just like I said, and we're all going to be rooting for you, especially over here, man, over here in San Angelo. That's for sure. But
Thank you.
absolutely, brother. Well, with Fox West Texas and MMA Monday, I'm Damien Bartonek, signing out.